Welcome to Illuminati Silver. We tell you the truth about silver. Today is Friday the 15th of October 2021 and we're producing our Friday morning gold and silver price update, forecast and daily news. The last 24 hours have seen gold and silver prices fall back a little from yesterday's significant rise, while we await the US retail sales figures, which, if they fall in line with yesterday's jobs report, that is positive figures, we may see gold and silver dip further. Alternatively, if they disappoint, we may see a slight rise from current levels. So let's take a look. Welcome to Illuminati Silver. It's Friday the 15th of October 2021 at 11:13 a.m. GMT +1. We apologise, we're running a little late this morning, but hopefully the mic is working better. Weather today. Oppressive. Why oppressive? Because although it's light outside, the clouds have blocked out the sky. And so that gives one a feeling of oppression. And certainly those people who've had false negative COVID results in the United Kingdom have every right to feel not only oppressed because of the limitations that they've had to suffer having positive tests, but also potentially depressed. Thousands of Britain may have had false negative COVID results is the main headline today. And if we click on that, on Bloomberg it says around 43,000 people in the United Kingdom may have wrongly been told their coronavirus test was negative due to errors at a laboratory, the government said. Now, we won't go into it because we're mainly talking about financial news, but my word, how people's lives can be affected by something which has appeared to be in error. Now, looking at some of the other headlines here, we'll look at one or two, but we don't have time to look at them all. We can see down the left-hand side, China's central bank says inflation risks are controllable. And with all the issues concerning Evergrande, China says their risks are controllable too. The White House is planning to address economic risk of climate change. And the other main headlines, UK coal power generation rises to 1 month high as wind fades. So there we are, all reliant on green energy wind. And now we have to go back to coal. However, the two pieces we're going to look at specifically, Europe's car sales crash points to worse year than poor 2020. And we'll also look at oil hitting $85 a barrel because of the crisis in gas. Europe's car sales crash points to worse year than poor 2020. Automakers logged their worst September sales in Europe in more than a quarter century, putting the industry on course to come up short of last year's disastrous showing. New car registrations plummeted 25% to 972,723, the lowest for the month since 1995. The lobby group, that's the European Automobile Manufacturers Association, try saying that quickly, attributes the drop to the semiconductor shortage, which worsened when COVID-19 outbreaks idled chip packaging and testing facilities in Southeast Asia. Not good on the car sales front. Affecting most of us, though, oil hits $85 a barrel with global energy costs soaring. Brent oil futures topped $85 a barrel for the first time since October 2018, the latest milestone in a global energy crunch that has seen prices soar. Crude futures have jumped in recent weeks as natural gas prices hit records. On Thursday, the International Energy Agency said the crisis is spilling into oil markets and could add 500,000 barrels a day to demand in the coming months. That is deepening inventory draws as the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries, OPEC, and its allies only gently ease output restraints. Let's now go over to Reuters, and they are focusing again on Evergrande. Exclusive Evergrande's $1.7 billion-dollar Hong Kong headquarters sale flops as buyer withdraws. Chinese state-owned, if I can pronounce it, UXG Property has pulled out of a proposed $1.7 billion deal to buy China's Evergrande Group's Hong Kong headquarters building over worries about the developer's dire financial situation, two sources said. Bought property, commercial property in the past, and we suspect that by pulling out may actually enable them to get an even cheaper price moving forward. Let's see if that happens. We can also see on Reuters, Bitcoin topped $60,000 near record highs on growing US ETF hopes. Yes, there are 4 or 5 applications in to set up a Bitcoin-based ETF, some with the practical coins and some just based on futures. And some decisions are due out this month. So of course this has put Bitcoin on a tear. Now if we look at business news in the UK, foreign drivers to be allowed more UK deliveries. Ministers want to lift the limit, on how many deliveries overseas lorry drivers can make in the UK. French minister has said Brexit has worsened the UK's supply crisis. Well, they would say that. Shoppers start to use £100 contactless card limit. So now we don't have to remember our PIN if we spend less than £100. And we also focus on what goods are in short supply. In the United States, Bill Clinton in hospital for non-COVID infection. The former US president is said to be on the mend and in good spirits in a hospital in California. Congress plots criminal charge for ex-Trump aide Steve Bannon, who could face up to 1 year in prison for not attending the Capitol riot hearing. We'll see how that pans out because I have no doubt that will go to court. And the mystery of how long COVID damages our memory. Okay, this is another interesting bit. Microsoft is shutting down its LinkedIn in China. The company will offer a jobs-only site with no social media elements instead. Let's have a look at the financials. The dollar index up today, 0.01, just shy of that crucial 94 level. Oil prices, well, earlier Brent crude had hit $85 a barrel. It's now $84.75 with WTI crude at $82.02. Equity markets, though, ironically on a tear, really. The US markets yesterday up between 1.5% and 1.73%. Asian markets up again 1.5% to 1.86%. And UK and European markets are up much less, but still up nevertheless, up to almost 0.6%. So, what happened to the economic news yesterday that we were looking out for? Yes, we were looking at the initial jobless claims and we could see that they had fallen quite sharply from an expectation of 318,000 to 293. And continuing jobless claims also falling to 2.59 million. The producer price index was also a little surprising, actually slightly lower than expectations at 0.5%. Now this has had a knock-on effect because it strengthened the dollar slightly and has adversely affected gold and silver prices. But today's figures will really, in our view, now ultimately determine what will happen to gold and silver for early next week, or certainly later today, because we have retail sales, the import price index, and the consumer sentiment index. But the important one are retail sales. And if we find that retail sales have gone up against expectations of minus 0.2%, then we can expect a strong headwind for gold and silver. If, however, it's worse than anticipated, then there might be a slight tailwind. And if, of course, it's as expectations, then really, I think the move has already been made in gold and silver prices on the back of the jobless claims yesterday. And what was that move? Well, gold has fallen back. It was on the precipice of 1800. Did actually touch 1800 briefly early this morning, in the early hours of this morning. and is now currently at 1783. Silver prices have been as high as 23.61, but is currently resting 5 cents down on the day at 23.33. Now tomorrow in our weekly update we'll show you how these compare for the week, and we'll have the advantage of knowing the retail sales then. Cryptocurrencies on a tear mainly because of Bitcoin, and we now have a market cap of 2.42 trillion. We said when it was below 2 trillion we expect by the end of this month to have a 2.5 trillion market cap. It might even be much higher than that, but we're holding out at 2.5 trillion, and we wait and see. Others are quoting 3 trillion and even 4 trillion by the end of the year. For now, please tune in tomorrow for our weekly update. Meanwhile, give us a thumbs up, subscribe, press the bell sign, and have a great day. And do not let the oppressive weather affect you too much. Illuminati Silver owners come from a background of banking, international wealth management, and economics. Having now retired from these worlds, we are not qualified to give investment advice. Therefore, this and other productions must not be deemed to be giving such advice, and merely represent the personal views of its owners.